Hello people, welcome to the 4th episode, Pimp My QiCYCLE. After having seen in the previous episode the blue bottom bracket, the flat pedals, the set of brake cables, the 2-chain tensioner pulleys, and the front brake pad set, let's look at them more closely, and install them step by step together. The bottom bracket comes from eBay for about €10 and is for standard ESA with 68mm wide shells, while the length of the axis is 118mm with square heads. It arrives together with the 2 fixing screws, which we will not use. The black original ones are nicer. The bottom bracket is made in China, Jagwire brand, arrived a little bruised and with scratched blue anodizing. His work does it well, certainly better than the original plastic. We will see how long the bearings will last. Compared to my FSA 7420, this one has additional soft gaskets to protect the ball bearings. It should therefore better isolate from dirt and last longer. As for the pedals, there is not much to say. They are of a beautiful electric blue color and do not have any writing or a logo, unlike what was seen on the sales site. Quite light, certainly cheap, this somewhat at the expense of smoothness. However, there are still good €10 flat pedals, if you don't want to be able to close them like the originals. The cable kit is fantastic instead, comes from Banggood for just over €6, link to purchase in description. Available in different colors, it will come with 2 steel cables, ending on one side with the attachment for our QiCYCLE, while on the opposite side the attack for road bikes. It will be enough to cut the end that we will not need. You will not miss a kit of various fittings for a complete installation, including the 2 terminals to prevent the cables from fraying, as well as 2 meters of cable strictly branded Jagwire. Complete Jagwire kits like this, you can find them in the shop for €35, then I'll show you them in my Pimp My garage. Stay connected. Colored anodized aluminum pulleys, mainly substituted for aesthetics. However, I do not hide a greater fluidity since these are provided with 2 ball bearings, while the 2 originals, as we shall see shortly, have no bearing for sliding. Then finish with these 2 color skids for the front brake. From the softer compound, they should therefore ensure better braking. All the links for a possible purchase can be found in the video description. But now follow me to my Pimp My garage. We will see how to install these upgrades, then we will dismantle the front wheel, in the case of punctures for those who do not know how to do it, and we will see what tools we would need. A brief view of the finished work. We already saw the installation of the tripod in the last episode. I'll leave you the card here at the top right if you missed it. Well, let's start. Unless you have full wheels, or perhaps it would be better to say, empty, puncturing is normal. It will happen to everyone sooner or later. There is nothing left to do but disassemble the wheel, roll up our sleeves, and repair the inner tube, or replace it. So let's start with disassembling the front wheel of the QiCYCLE. First you need to release the front brake. In my case, since we are going to replace the sheaths, I will eliminate the front brake cable terminal directly. So, to loosen the front brake, so that it widens and allows us to extract the wheel, we should provide ourselves with a hexagonal wrench measuring 6mm, and loosen this screw, as I am illustrating on video. For front wheel removal, it is not necessary to remove the cable, but we're going to pull it off, because then we'll eliminate this black sheath. Perfect. See, now the 2 skates have widened. We also eliminate the LCD display protection, so as to free the nut and thus be able to remove it. We put everything back together in order not to lose anything. 19mm wrench. If you use a socket wrench like mine, you will surely have difficulty, because the close nut is too long and will impact the bottom of the insert. It will therefore be enough to remove the insert for a few millimeters to be able to unscrew the nut successfully. So in order we will have the close nut, the iron coupling bracket, a washer with flange, and with the right side we have finished. On the opposite side, once the black plastic protection has been removed, we would also have here a removable close nut with a 19mm tube or English key. Still with the half insert trick, we remove the nut. Here we will also find a washer with flange, together with a washer with a tooth facing downwards that will resist anything. Do not take off with your hands. Not even with pliers. Also useless with the screwdriver, not even with the earthquake. No, the earthquake may have served. Here it comes. Damn. Let us remember when reassembling the position of the tooth downwards and facing inwards. We are almost there. Before removing the wheel from its seat we should, using a 3mm hexagonal key, remove the cable clamp located inside the fork, left side, and insert like mine, link in description. Using it at 30 degrees inclination will make our job easier. Cable clamp, washer, and screw. Let's put them back together and put them aside. If you can disconnect the connector first, better. Otherwise, if you have little patience like me, with a few taps and moving the wheel to the right and to the left you should be able to pull it off. Having loosened the brake you shouldn't have any major problems. Done. Now, with the cable extended it will be easier to disconnect the motor, thus finally freeing the front wheel. Be careful when placing the fork on the ground. Better if you have some cloth to store between the fork and the ground. Here, now you have your wheel in your hand. Do what you want. Repair a puncture, rather than replacing the worn tire, or for simple engine maintenance, a check of the good condition of the gears, together with a grease change is recommended from time to time to do so. Ah, I almost forgot. On the opposite side of the cable there is a washer with tooth, twin to the one just removed. This, however, unlike the other, must be placed between the engine and the fork. So recapitulating. Washer with tooth, this time facing outwards. Washer with flange, bracket for magnet and check nut. While on the other side we would have the cable clamp, washer with tooth facing the fork, washer with flange, check nut, ending with the black plastic cover. Always pay attention to this order before reassembling everything. Once the work on the front wheel is finished, we can go and put it back in its place. Then, with the motor cable facing down, we will insert the washer with the tooth on the opposite side. Remember to position the tooth downwards and outwards. It will then touch the fork. Connect the engine by aligning the two arrows and coupling all the way down. Second washer with tooth, washer with flange, check nut. Other washer with flange, magnet coupling bracket, check nut. We tighten everything with our hands for now. 3mm insert and fasten, cable clamp bracket, and fix the motor cable inside the fork. Torque wrench and tighten the two nuts properly. At the end, cover save display, and we're done. Let's start with the actual changes. Having already removed the brake cable, we immediately start by replacing the two front skids 4mm hexagonal insert, and we eliminate the two original skids, unscrewing the only screw present. The types of fixing of these skates are different. The originals have the screw that goes towards the rubber part, while the new ones will be on the contrary. The screw will be fixed in the braking part, and the final nut will be tightened. The end result, however, does not change. As you are seeing, the surface in contact with the wheel is different, much wider on the new blue ones. This should ensure better braking. And we will also eliminate the other brake. We pay attention to the direction shown in the rubber. This has the abbreviation L, left, and will therefore go to the left. We should then remove the fixing nut, along with other subsequent 3 washers, inserts. You will need to hold only the braking rubber part, with only the first thickness inserted in the screw, and a half-rounded washer. Well, we put everything in its housing, from the inside. Now insert the other washer half spherical, the second convex, the third washer, simple, ending with the final fixing nut. For the moment we tighten everything with our hands. Once the brake cable is restored, we could make a real adjustment in inclination of their braking position. Replicate everything to the other side. The time has now come to replace the cable sheaths. To do this, we first remove the old black ones, so that they can be used as a sample for cutting new ones. The front brake sheath is very easy to replace. The lower part we had already unhooked and removed it. We also take it out of the central cable gland, ending in the brake lever. To remove the cable and sheath completely, press the brake lever, push the steel cable slightly so that it moves back on the brake lever. At this point it will be easy to get the cylinder out of its seat. We just have to pull the cable out completely, thus eliminating the sheath as well. Now that we have the front, we have to do the same thing with the rear brake. Here the work will be slightly longer and laborious. Let's get on the rear wheel. First we should remove the terminal by cutting off the end of the steel cable. Once this is done, we can loosen the brake nut, using a 10mm wrench, and start removing the sheath and cable from the brake. Exactly as in the right lever, we remove the steel cable. Let's put it aside, we could use it again soon. Now both brake levers are free. We remove the sheath from the ferrulid. We eliminate the clamp of the fork. And with a 3mm hex wrench we are going to loosen the 3 cable clamps of the frame. No need to remove them completely, just loosen them. The third one, at the height of the bottom bracket, should be removed completely to facilitate the removal of the sheath. This bracket is almost always the origin of gearbox problems. If it happens that the gearbox is struggling to get into some relationship, especially after folding the bike a couple of times, this bracket is the problem. It is so firmly fixed as to shred the cables, including the sheath of the shift cable, preventing the inner steel cable from sliding as it should. Here too we should remove the clamp that unites the 2 cables. Hexagonal wrench of 3mm, better if you have an insert like mine, and we eliminate the cable clamp in the rear stay. Let's recompose it so as not to lose it, and finish off by pulling the sheath off completely. And the second sheath is also removed. Speaking of Jagwire brake cable sheaths, these are the kits I usually use on my mountain bike. The packaging cannot be compared, but the Chinese sheath is well dressed. Once installed, you will hardly notice the original, from the Chinese €6. Now that we have the 2 sheaths available, we should take the steps to make the new ones. To do this, I will help with pieces of adhesive tape. 1, 2, and at the other end, 3, and 4. As you are seeing, we advance a good deal of colored sheath, exactly 2 tiles. But meter in hand then we measure 60 centimeters. Now the choice is up to you. If you just want to change the color, you just need to do the new ones of the same exact length. But if you intend to raise the handlebars in height, better stay 5-6 centimeters more abundant, especially with the front brake sheath. Make a couple of references with the marker, and cut the sheath with a cable cutter or pincer. With the aid of pliers, bring your head to a situation that is as spherical as possible. At the end with a nail, a star screwdriver, or something sharp open the internal Teflon tube. There will have to pass and run the steel cable. Now insert the 4 black terminals supplied, and proceed to remove the adhesive tape and the old sheaths. Choose whether to reuse the old steel cables, or use the new one supplied with the kit. Put the steel cable on the sheath to test that everything flows and comes out from the other side. As already mentioned in the introduction, since this is a Chinese version, the front brake will not restore it to the right lever as it was originally, but to the left brake lever. So let's stop the height in the brake lever. Insert the cable through the fitting, and now insert the new blue sheath in my case, inserting it from above, or with the help of a screwdriver, we pass the sheath into the central ferrule lid, together with the cable of the gearbox and the LCD display, and we finish by inserting the steel cable through the front brake terminal. It will be enough now to insert it even in the last screw. Tighten the cable using the 6mm insert. Shorten the cable to the desired size, and install the tip to prevent the cable from fraying. To fix this terminal, just use a pincer or pliers on the side to cut, without giving strength. Perfect. We now replicate everything with the back sheath. Once the steel cable has been inserted into the right-hand brake lever, and the sheath has passed through the central cable gland, we should insert it through the 2 loose metal cable glands in the center of the frame. We end by putting it in the rear stay, exactly where the black sheath was originally, and we restore the first clamp in the front fork area. Well, we tighten these 2 brackets with the 3mm hexagonal key, and insert the second clamp between our sheath and the one next to it. By placing 2 sheaths on the right and 2 on the left, we can also restore this third and last metal bracket. Let's now move to the rear stay, insert the cable clamp in the sheath and fix it with its screw to the frame. We just have to place the black terminal on the new sheath, and insert it in the special space of the brake bracket. We insert the steel cable in the brake screw, and with a 10mm spanner, we fix everything. Once the right tension has been set so that the brake is okay, we finish the job positioning the tip to the cable, and always with a pincer, we softly crush the terminal ferrule. Perfect. We have excellently finished. As for the replacement of the pedals, and of the bottom bracket, I'll leave you here at the top right the tab for the video episode 2, where everything is illustrated in detail. While for the replacement of the 2 chain tensioner pulleys, the operation is quite fast and simple. We should first remove the chain from the chain tensioner. Once free, with a 2.5mm hex key, I recommend using a screwdriver solution, together with the famous insert, to remove the original plastic pulleys. Just hold the nut on the opposite side with your hand. Now, we can eliminate almost everything, except the final black screw. We then remove the silver thickness and the washer, and keep only the central black pin. We recover one of the 11-tooth aluminum pulleys. We insert the first thickness, like this. Then the pulley, and we close the hole with the last thickness. And everything is ready to be reassembled. Fairly smooth. Always with the ACA 2.5 insert, we fix the new pulley. At the end we use a wrench from 11 to fix everything well. We just have to replicate everything with the second black plastic pulley, and restore the chain. This operation will be slightly more complex, due to the pulleys with different diameter. A round of pedals to check everything is in order, and on. We will no longer need these components. Do what you want. The time has come to peck at these photo shoots of mine. I give you an appointment at my next episode, Pimp My QiCYCLE. Many, many new things await you. Don't miss it, and sign up for my channel. And if someone asks again if the QiCYCLE has regenerative braking, I answer you, buy this solar panel bike more regenerative than that. Or the solar carrier, find the link in the description. Ciao.